felt that this was a great way for us to play a role for the people of Pittsburgh to really showcase all the great things that this region has to offer. This is, as I say, is both an expensive and a considerable undertaking, and there's really only half a dozen cities in the world that have their own large format IMAX signature film like this.
We didn't want scenes that just showed buildings and viewpoints and topography. We have those, but we also wanted to show people in the settings.
At Ohiopyle Falls, there's one day a year when kayakers are allowed to go over the waterfall. So we rigged the camera up to a crane to get out over the water to get that angle.
I really like the opening. I think it's so unexpected, it's so strong. It's on the river at Ohiopyle, and it's a very dramatic sequence, and I think that's a very strong, appropriate opening for this film.
We were in constant contact with the weather folks at the Carnegie Science Center, and they'd be saying, you know, well, it's clear in Akron right now, and should be there in 2 hours, and we're waiting with a crane and a full crew, and there were times, and you just have to be patient and sit and wait. And there were also tremendous technological challenges. We'd get the camera in very difficult situations or with a special mount, like we shot a blast furnace being tapped or putting it on an F1 race boat. When we put it on the F1 race boat, it took about 2 weeks of preparatory work to get it on there, and we had some technical problems, the film snapping and so on, and we ended up getting a 12-second shot and an 8-second shot for these 2 weeks of work.
For the pitfall ride at Kennywood Park, we also had built a special mount, but when we got there, the seats had been changed on the ride, and so it didn't quite fit. So the Key Grip came up with the idea of using something called speed rail, and we built a mount for the camera on this spot. We had multiple backup safety cables on the equipment to make sure nothing came loose. The objective here was to give that high-angle perspective, the thrill of being at the top of the pitfall ride, and to really see all of Kennywood Park.
Well, screaming's good. Hey, Robin, what's up?
For the Pittsburgh Plunge, we filmed it out of order. We got the shot of the splash first, which you can see here. We moved over to the boat, and we had a special mount once again built for it. We had to shut the ride down for about an hour. The camera weighs about 62 pounds, so you really have to tie it down firmly and securely. It has a waterproof housing, which we put on it, and it has a clear-coated lens in the front of the housing. It's operated by remote control once it's inside the bag, and I have a very small black and white monitor that I can look at to see the shot, but it's really tough to see what you've got. We rode the ride as we got the shot, and the cameraman and I got soaked, but it was a fun shot to get. And watching the shot, I still get a little bit of a tickle in my stomach, even when I see it on a small monitor. But in the theater, you really get a great sense of going down the slide. This was for a scene with the Tamburitzans. They're one of the longest running folk ensembles in the U.S. We pre-recorded the music in a studio, and then we had sync playback that the musicians played to. The scene was a Hungarian folk dance. We worked with the choreographer to make it work for the camera. We were trying to give the sense of an ethnic wedding. We had about 40 Tamburitzans there. It was one of the hottest days of the year. All the groups in Pittsburgh were incredibly helpful in making this film. Everyone just bent over backwards to help us make it happen. This is at U.S. Steel's Irvin plant, where slabs of steel go through a series of rollers and become sheet metal. For this shot, we got up on top of one of the industrial cranes. The scale of these plants is very dramatic, and so we were trying to show that. But there's always good shots that end up on the cutting room floor, and so this one didn't make it in. Here we're setting up a shot at the blast furnace of U.S. Steel's Edgar Thomson plant. You have to be very careful of where you are. We had safety personnel with us at all times. Aerials are very important for an OmniMax film. It really gives you that sense of being immersed into the shot. We had to fly in a special mount for the helicopter. It's a Tyler nose mount from California. We installed it at a landing pad in the Laurel Highlands. Here you see the helicopter taking off to get a shot of the mountains and the Youghiogheny River. When you're in the theater, the image kind of wraps around you, your peripheral vision, so you feel like you're really in the shot and you're really flying over the city and getting that unique perspective. A lot of people are pleasantly surprised when they see these images of Pittsburgh, and it's a great feeling to hear from people, wow, we didn't know Pittsburgh was that beautiful. And it's great to see that reaction. I think most Pittsburghers have a lot of pride in the city.